Hey everyone! In this video, we're going to take a look at Warrior One. So Warrior One is, in my opinion, one of the most challenging warriors just because it does require the hips to be forward, and I don't know, it just can kind of feel a little bit awkward. So I want to just walk through some of the alignment cues and just dig a little bit deeper and hopefully have you feeling better and stronger in your Warrior One. So when you're ready, let's go. All right, to get started, I've got my mat laid out and I've got a chair here. Now, if you don't have a chair, it definitely has to be sort of like hip height, but you could also use a wall or even blocks if you've got them. But I definitely recommend something a little bit taller, and you'll see why. So the first thing that we're gonna do is come into our Warrior One position. So that means we're gonna have one foot forward and we're gonna have one foot sort of back on a bit of a 45. So you'll see. And so when you're in any warrior pose, we wanna make sure that we're feeling super grounded between both feet. So one of the things about yoga is even when you're seeing people in inversions or arm balances, there's always this sort of balance between challenge and ease. And so the way that we get ease into those more challenging poses is by redistributing the weight across the body. And I think warriors are a great opportunity to start practicing that weight distribution. So we've got our front leg. We're now going to come into a nice deep bend. So in any of our warrior poses, maybe not Warrior Three, but any of these ones where we're having this long stance, we want to try and get nice and low into this front leg. So this is where we start building a lot of strength. We're trying to get this down to like a 45. So that might mean you need to go a little bit wider with your stance to kind of make that happen. Now, this stance, honestly, that I have right now is a Warrior Two because my hips are pointing this way. So for us to make this into more of a Warrior One pose, I need my hips. So if you put your hands on your hip bones like this, they're pointing to the side. And what I need when I'm in a Warrior One is actually for those hips to be pointing forward. So this is where we're gonna use the chair today. So we're gonna have our hands on the chair. We're gonna have our front leg pointing forward, toes are pointing forward, and we're gonna step back with our back leg. So again, the back leg is in a 45 and we're really trying to ground here into the floor. Now here I've got my hands and this is helping to push this back hip forward. Now what you might find with Warrior One is maybe this stance isn't actually working for you. And so especially for women, we've got bigger pelvises, which means we may not be able to have our feet quite as close together or have such a narrow stance. And so if you're finding that it's a little bit too challenging to push that hip forward, then step that foot out. It can even go off the mat, it doesn't matter. And what you want to do is just create more space so that you can tuck that hip forward. So just think, I'm kind of exaggerating this movement here, but this is what we're trying to do, is push it forward, have those hands here, and then seeing that our hips now are both pointing forward. So hopefully you can see the difference. So again, hips pointing forward and hips pointing out. So Warrior Two versus a Warrior One. So once we've kind of got the hips pointing forward, we've adjusted our stance to something that feels a little bit more comfortable for our body. We're gonna again then really lean into that front leg. You may need to bring that leg a little more forward, and we're trying to go for a 90-degree bend here. So I can probably go actually a little bit lower. So again, we're looking for that 90-degree bend. We're looking for the hips pointing forward and really pressing here into the outside of the foot. This is really going to just add so that you're feeling that the engagement is happening between the back leg and the front leg is working with that 90-degree bend. So just from here, we're not even using the arms at this point, and we're really like engaging with the hips, and we're pushing this hip that's trying to open up, we're pushing it forward. So lots of different movements happening to sort of do this movement. And this is just in the feet. Now, we add arms just to add a little bit more weight into the pose. So if this is already feeling like a lot for you, then maybe you just bring your hands to heart center. And this is where you stay while you're working on building that engagement, building that strength in your legs. Now, if you're feeling pretty good here, then maybe you're gonna lift those arms all the way up. Breathe here, and we're gonna watch this belly now. So from here, we want to try and tuck in the rib cage, turn on that core. So lots of engagement happening here. All right. That's everything that I wanted to work through. So again, you can use the same thing on a wall where again, you're just gonna use the wall, hold it in front of you and try to feel that both of your hips are pointing forward. You can also use your hands to kind of gauge where your hip bones are and kind of gauge to make sure those hips are pointing forward. And don't forget, we really wanna make sure we're actively engaging with that back leg, really pressing through the outside of that back foot so everything is engaged. All right, I hope that was helpful for you. So thanks so much for joining me. If you like this video, give it a like. If you haven't already, consider subscribing, and I'll see you next time. I will post probably some kind of a stretch video after this, maybe a little flow in case you want to try this out. All right, thanks everyone. Till next time, bye.